Dynasty starts off the album with the explosive impact of a meteor crash landing. I love the arena rock orchestral metal hybrid that Rina is able to bring to life on this track. The operatic verses that lead into the power radiant refrain is euphoric as hell, and it immediately gives you a small taste of just the pure audaciousness the rest of the album has in store. Following Dynasty is a spicy, flavorful track with a flamenco fiesta tinge to the sound palette. The rolling acoustic drums mixed with the lively, fast-tempo percussion is deliciously enticing. I also like the straight power chord bits that happen to kind of bridge back into the main instrumental at points. Rina's pop sensibility on this track is insane. The hook is so goddamn catchy and stimulating that it had me replaying this track over and over before I could get to the rest of the album. I love it, I love it, I love it, I love it. Here we have a nu metal infused pop track about people who don't understand what basic respect is. The gritty chords make up a majority of the track with a dreamy acoustic break around the carefree refrain. The dichotomy of nu metal and pop is well constructed and follows suit to other notable artists who have adapted the style, such as Grimes and Poppy, who both have released albums earlier this year. Rina's defecting vocal performance is great and continues to expand her musical ambition while retaining what makes her a surging presence in pop. Yet again, we are met with another distinct flavor this early on in the album. This sounds like a late night club track with the deep bass groove, kind of reminiscent of something Far East Movement would do. I like the spunky, swaggery lyrics and the confident vocal performance, and ends up being a very groovy jam. This is a pretty introspective track. There's a greater sense of dismay and perhaps fright that I get from the lyrics. Rina opens up about her fragility and even compares her sadness to her parents, almost like this sadness and despair is hereditary. I love the addition of what I assume is a Japanese verse. It gives the song more authenticity with Rina using her roots as a method of storytelling. The production on here also is stellar. It sounds like a jiggling piece of matter with some snappy embellishments for good measure. I also like that the chorus on this track has an atmospheric kind of sad circus vibe to it. I think it adds much more uniquity to the track. I love it. Dazzling is the word I would use to describe this track. I love the sunny bit rock-esque production, and the vivid saxophone bridge right before the last leg of the track is pretty uplifting. Not to mention the glamorous hook feels very inspirational and has that touch of magic to make it one of a kind. Another splendid track. Love Me for me feels like a trip to the past with a 2000s alternative R&B influence with some modernized elements. I love the glitzy, bouncy vocals, and the song topic is really didactic. The hook is amazingly sweet. I honestly don't know how else to describe this track. It's so good! Bad Friend feels like an attempt to reach out and make up for lost time with a longtime friend. The first half really sells me on that sense of reconnecting with the muted, sparkling synth patterns before opening up to drums and a sharper electronic lead. Rina's reflective performance feels genuine as she mentions a memory burned into her mind, assumingly the last time that her and this friend spent real time together. And she beats herself up on the chorus, proclaiming herself as a bad friend. I like the choral vocals that are used in the background, kind of a way to add more heart to this tremendously heartwarming track. A dreamy, angsty track that discusses how all of the bad in the world can consume the minds of those trying to enjoy their own lives. Rina's passively empathetic yet vindictive vocal performance increments the gravitas of the verses and the refrain, holding people who have power and lay sentry to it accountable, and also mentioning leaving Earth to right the wrongs of Earthlings to other life forms immediately had me hooked, and may have given me a secret desire for Rina to make something sci-fi related. Just a little bit. The sonic stage is set in a giant coliseum, it sounds like, with how the audio is mixed to sound like a live performance. The drums sound crisp, the guitar riffs feel unaltered, and Rina sounds like she has her own background singers rather than adding her own vocals to various snippets to the song. The arena rock influence takes a new form and accentuates the mighty chorus and the fiery vocal bridges. This song has so much power and a grandiose scale that is not topped by anything else on this record. This ode to Tokyo feels thematic because on this album there are points where Japan is referenced by Rina, being it mentioning her heritage or name dropping various Japanese locales. I love the silky synthwave instrumental, and the vocal melodies are so euphoric. They're so good. They're so good. There's so much passion and love put into honoring and thanking this place that it is contagious as hell and inspires me to go out during a pandemic. I look the wrong way. During a pandemic to do the same. Another love-filled ballad, this time talking about how blood of a covenant is thicker than water in the womb. If that doesn't make sense or outright creeps you out, Rina is saying that family isn't who you're born with, it's who you choose. And this is expressed with lyrics that mention doing things together, making time for someone in need. The line, "we don't need to be related to relate," is a perfect synopsis of the song topic. The acoustic electronic instrumental is serene as it flows perfectly, and there's an overwhelmingly amount of energy bursting at the seams with the idea of acceptance being the source. It's so good. It's so good. At first, I wasn't a big fan of this track because I felt like the pace of the second verse with the rapid vocalizations threw the rest of the track off, but once I had a better understanding of the snakeskin theme, it clicked for me. The first verse is delivered in a slow, noxious manner, while the second verse and the chorus segments have this high-octane tempo. The instrumental is a bit frenetic with the pulsating drums and the tolling bells and the miasmic piano passages, but fits well in the narrative of the track, even though the pace overall can still feel a bit off speed. Though I think this is the least formidable song on this album, it's still really good. I am not gonna lie, some of the song for me currently is unintelligible, especially during the verses, but man did I still love it. This track has a rebellious moxie to it, almost like an invading uprising that has been planned for a long time. It's finally coming to fruition. I love the abrasive electro riffs and the peppy drum progression. The rallying cheerleader vocals infect your ears with an anthem of pure insurgency. An absolutely great closer. 3 years after her debut EP, I was worried that Rina wouldn't expand her musical palette and kind of stay cozy with the retroactive approach to pop music. And honestly, that wouldn't have been a bad thing because I thought her EP was amazing. But here she really went all out and improved on almost every aspect of her musical talent. The production, which was already stellar in the EP, mind you, gets even more colors and toys for Rina to play with and make her own, with these expeditions into nu metal, arena rock, alternative R&B, and numerous facets of pop. The vocals are incredible. The hooks. This album is damn near perfect and will most likely and rightfully should put Rina on everyone's radar. I give it a